Hello, friends. Welcome to Green on the Greens for no longer the Honda Classic. It is the Cognizant Classic, one of those tournaments that has switched names. It is myself. It is Cody Williams. We are back to give it our best bets for this week's event. A little bit of a better field than Mexico Open. Still a couple weeks away from kind of the meat of the golf season here. Cody, how you doing?
Doing good, man. Wish I'd have had some more or some winners last week. I guess I should say, not more. I didn't have any. So,
Yeah. So let's just start right there. Let's recap last week. You had some bad luck. I feel like since we started the show back up again, you have had some close calls with some guys. Because last week you had Joseph Bramlett top 20. He finished what, 38th? Was it
38th? But all he had to do was shoot even par on Sunday, and he would have finished in the top 20. And instead, he shot 3 over, including a double bogey on the 17th hole.
Yep. That stings. He had Brandon Wu top 10, who finished one stroke out of top 10. He finished T13. I lost my spot. Yeah, Nikolai Højgaard. I think how did he finish?
He finished 52nd, I believe. He had an awful Saturday.
Yeah, so he at least made the cut. So you got very close with your top 20 and top 10 pick. Our outright picks, hopefully, will be the worst outright picks that we will have for the rest of the season because and I had some good picks, somewhere else, but let's talk about our outrights because we gave out Thomas Detry, I did, and you were on Taylor Pendrith. Both 25-1. Neither of them even made the cut, let alone sniff anywhere close to the top of the leaderboard. My pick, Thomas Detry, was dead immediately. Like I knew by like the 5th hole, I was like, this is not good. He shot, I think he was like third last after the first round. He shot like 7 over on Thursday.
Oh yeah, it was absolutely horrendous. Like I think we both knew on Thursday that our outrights were just dead in the water. Like it was, and we should have known because we picked two people, kind of close to the top of the odds board. And what do you know? Another semi-long shot goes out and wins. What do you like? That's just how this year's been.
Yeah, it is how this year's been. By the way, if you are watching this on YouTube live or on Twitch, let us know in the comments or in the live chat your picks, and we will discuss those as well. Actually, before we go any further, speaking of which, I need to give a shout out to the guy who hit Jake Knapp.
That's right.
And he even tweeted at us before opening tee shot. I believe he tweeted to us on Wednesday asking our thoughts about it. I said top 20. That wasn't aggressive enough. I think this guy ended up betting him outright as well. I got to find this tweet because I said we'd give him a shout out if he ended up winning. Should have had this ready to go, but I just remembered.
Juice counter.
Shout out to
counter
you.
The juice. Yeah.
Shout out to you hitting Jake Knapp, a golfer who I'll be completely honest, I did not really look too much into during the week because he was a name I didn't really recognize, but he was only like 40-1. So you can't look at every single golfer in the field, and I didn't do a deep dive on him. I should have. Congratulations to you, Juice Counter, as well as to anyone else who did do a deep dive on him and bet on him because he was a perfect course fit. He made a ton of sense this past week. There was a reason why he was 40-1, despite being largely kind of a no-name guy.
Yeah, absolutely. He balled out on the Corn Ferry Tour last year, I believe. Yeah, he's a rookie. And, he just hits the ball. It's like everything we talked about for Mexico Open, long hitter, great on approach, just a ball striking clinic that he put on out there.
Yeah, Juice Counter at Counter the Juice. Shout out to him. There we go. Great hit. My big hit the week though, Martin Trainer plus 750 top 20, finished T19. It got a little bit sweaty there at the end, but he held on. This is once again another perfect example of why you should make sure that when you're betting to place, you should be betting them at sportsbooks that play ties paid in full. So there you go. Even though I only went 1-3 with the picks given out on the show, I went 1-3 for plus 4.5 units. Which brings me to the profit. Since we started doing the show 4 weeks ago through 3 events, I'm now up 1 unit on the picks I've given out on the show. Cameron Champ was flirting with the top 10, didn't have a great final day. How many shots? He finished T24, so it would have been about 3 shots out of the top 10. He had a bad final round, only shot even par. So that was close. Tony Finau finished top 20, but not top 5, which is what I gave him the pick out for. And then Detry completely missed the cut. Closest to the win. Last week, my close to the win pick finished T10. Was not good enough to get the win in our competition. So I said, I got to do even better than that. And I went out and did exactly that. Didn't have to because your guy, Alexander Bjork, did miss the cut just by stroke, but missed the cut. I gave out Bobby Mack for my close to the win pick. Finished T8. So how about that? Yeah. Or T6, actually, even better. Our closest to the win picks, well, mine this week and then both of ours the week before, have sneakily been some of the best bets we've given out on the show.
Yeah, I mean, if you're betting those, top 30, top 20, you're probably making some pretty nice profit. So keep an eye on those. That's not just a dumb competition that we do. We do put a little bit of thought into those.
Yes, absolutely. So we are tied for close to the win series 1-1. If you don't know what close to the win is, we both pick each week a golfer that's at least 100-1 odds to win or longer, and then whoever's close to the win golfer finishes closer to the win gets a point. Loser at the end of the season has to pay for the winners a round of golf. So we are tied 1-1 after Bobby Mack came through for me this past week. Anything else we have to recap before we can jump into the Cognizant Classic, formerly known as the Honda Classic?
You had an LPGA outright that I do want to shout out. It wasn't the one we gave out on the show. She was close, Madeline Sackstrom, but Patty T came through for you.
Yeah, LPGA continues to be pretty profitable for me. I think what I'll do on the show is I'll give out the long shot I have each week in the LPGA. And then if you want to get my two bets that are a little bit shorter odds, check out my article on fansided.com/betsided, or I tweeted it out as well. But yeah, heading into the final round of LPGA this past weekend, I had the golfer in first place, Patty T. I'll never learn how to pronounce her last name. She was at 28-1 with a 3-stroke lead. And then solo second place was the pick I gave out on the show, Madeline Sagstrom, 80-1 solo second. She melted down in the final round, but Patty T held on. I stayed up till 2:30 a.m. to watch it. It was late at night. It was in Thailand, and I thought that I was hoping that she was going to take a big enough lead that I could just go to bed early. But of course, no golf outright PGA or LPGA ever comes easy. I think she had I don't know if she had a 5-stroke lead. She had a 4-stroke lead. I think it was halfway through. I think she threw 8 holes at a 4-stroke lead. The Swiss girl came back, and it was tied. Patty T had a birdie the last hole, which was a par 5, in order to win, and she did. So I was very happy that I didn't stay up till 2:30 a.m. just to see that meltdown in front of my face. So there's the first LPGA outright winner of 2024.
Dude, love to see it. Absolutely.
Which was nice to get after Lydia Ko melted down for me the last LPGA event.
Right.
Yeah. All right, let's get into the Cognizant Classic here. I think we've recapped enough. This is, of course, as I mentioned a couple times, formerly the Honda Classic. It is still at the same event. It is PGA National, home of the Bear Trap. My main thing, and I'm curious your thoughts as well, Cody, for this course when handicap this event, is it's not about winning this event, is about not losing. And what I mean by that is you don't need to get a guy who's going to go out there and score a ton of birdies. You need a guy who's going to not get bogey. So bogey avoidance, scrambling, those kinds of things, because there are hazards everywhere. There's water all over the course. And it's one of the more difficult events on the PGA Tour schedule in terms of scoring. So avoiding bogeys, I would say, is more important than scoring birdies.
Definitely. It's avoiding bogeys. And one of the things that I think comes up from that is course history here is a little weird. There are some guys who traditionally play well here pretty much every year, but there are some guys who have really sporadic results. And I think the reason is it's just a difficult golf course. Sometimes you're in form when you play it, sometimes you don't. And it's not this isn't a place where horses for courses necessarily exist.
Right. Yeah, course history, obviously, I'd rather have a guy who has good course history than bad course history, but it's not one where he fits every other part, but then he hasn't played great here in the past, so then you pass on him. Yeah. I would say course history is less important here than it is for most events, for sure. So let's get into it. Let's start off with top 20 this week. Who's your pick to finish in the top 20?
I'm going with the South African, Christian Bezuidenhout. And plus 225 to get him in the top 20. And I really love this. When you look at this field over the last 16 rounds, he leads the field in strokes gained approach, 1.35 strokes that he's gaining on that. And then he's trending a little bit in terms of his finishes. And he's played 5 events in 2024, T28 or better in 4 of them. So he's playing really well right now, kind of going under the radar. And he's not the best fit everywhere because he's a very short hitter off the tee. I think he averages 280 off the tee so far in 2024. That's not really a big factor here at PGA National. He's a decently accurate driver. They've also widened the fairways a little bit and shortened the rough this week. So I'm not necessarily worried about that being, detrimental to him either. And I think that one thing I've been looking at really hard for this event is proximity from 150 to 200 yards. That's a key range. That's where a lot of your approach shots are going to come from. And he's 3 feet better than tour average from that proximity when he's hitting out of the fairway. So I really like that a lot. He's finished T25 and T42 in the past 2 years at this event. So I think he's a good fit. And I think that he knows how to play this course pretty decently well. And with the way he's striking his irons right now, I like him for a top 20.
Love that pick. Love that golfer, Christian Bezuidenhout. I was early on Christian Bezuidenhout. I was big on him like 3 years ago when he kind of first came to the PGA Tour. Love him. I've bet on him a ton in the past. I looked at betting on him this week. I ended up going a different direction. So I'm glad one of us has some Bezuidenhout action. Big fan of him.
Yeah, I mean, he's a fun golfer to watch at especially on his approach play. Like when he's dialed in, it's something special.
Yeah. All right, my top 20, and I'll let the people know ahead of time, is that I'm all long shots this week. I'm long shots all over the place. So I have 3 outright picks. I got one of them I'm going to go top 20 for the show and one top 10 for the show, but all over the place, I'm long shot. I'm Mr. Long Shot this week. So let's see. It worked for me last week, Martin Trainer. My top 20 is not quite as big of a long shot, but let's see if it works here for me. I'm going to go, and I'm betting on this guy outright as well at 100 to 1. Chesson Hadley to finish in the top 20 at plus 375. Of course, the odds we are giving out are at sportsbooks where all ties will be paid out in full. Chesson Hadley has a good history putting on Bermuda grass, which these greens are. They are Bermuda. They're a specific type of Bermuda. I forget what the name of it is, but for the most part, if you just look at Bermuda greens, it'll all be the same. And he is a guy, and this fits the bill for all the guys that I'm betting on, big in bogey avoidance, tied on tour for 25th in bogey avoidance. He has finished in the top 30 in 4 of his 8 starts at this event. So he has some at least consistent success at this event. And he's coming off a pretty solid T4 finish at the Mexico Open last week. So I'm betting on him to win outright at 100 to 1. I'm also betting him to finish in the top 20 at plus 375.
I like it. If you're going long shots, going for guys who are going to avoid trouble is the right way to do it. So yep. I like where your head's at with that.
Which is exactly what I'm doing. All 3 of my big picks, and then one of my kind of picks follows out as well, is just guys who aren't flashy but can avoid bogeys. And there's a few good ones far down the odds list. All right, let's move on to top 10.
Top 10, I'm going with the guy who's just been hot in 2024, man. Matthew Pavon. He won at Farmers, T3 at Pebble, T7 at Sony. Like, he's just been on an absolute heater to start this year. And when you look at what he does well, it kind of fits what I'm kind of looking for at PGA National. He is first from 150 to 200 yards when he's hitting from the fairway in terms of proximity, and from 150 to 175, which is where the majority of his approach shots on this length of golf course have come from. He's second overall on the PGA Tour, and that includes rough and fairway. So he's just been dialed in from that range. He's also gaining just overall on approach, 1.12 strokes gained on approach over his last 16 rounds. And then the other thing, when he was on the West Coast swing in this hot start, he's been putting the lights out, gaining 1.47 strokes. And a lot of the things we've seen about past winners at PGA National is you got to putt well to win here. You got to be able to handle the Bermuda grass. We don't have a large sample size on Pavon when it comes to Bermuda grass. So that's why I'm only going top 10. I would probably be looking outright if we had more history there. But I think with the way he putt on the West Coast and the way he's playing with his approach, I think a top 10 at plus 400 is really good value for a player in his form right now.
He is currently first on the PGA Tour this season in total strokes gained. So he has statistically been, obviously the top golfers haven't, played a ton, so that's going to even out as the season goes on. But as of right now, he has statistically been the best golfer on tour. So getting him 4 to 1 to finish in the top 10, I like that quite a bit.
Yeah, and the other thing that I had down is, like, you look at Pebble Beach where he finished T3. That was a windy, crazy weather, and wind is always a factor at PGA National. So he can obviously play well and handle those factors. And the other thing, you talk about the water on this course, most of the trouble is to the right. And it's a weird setup, but everything is it's like circles the body of the water where everything is on the right. He likes to fade the ball, but his misses are never over fading it. It's always, it doesn't fade and it goes to the left. So I'm not real worried about the trouble that he could find with the water there.
All right. I like it. My top 10, and until I dove deep into this event, I didn't even know he was playing it. This is a big name guy on the PGA Tour, at least big name amongst golf fans, but he is far down this odds list. Do you know who it is?
I have no idea, but I'm excited.
Let's go, and I'm betting him also 100 to 1 to win, but also top 10 at plus 650. Billy Horschel.
Oh, Billy Ho.
Billy Ho. Let's get some Billy Ho action going. I was surprised. I thought his odds would have been a little bit shorter. Now, Billy Horschel has not been playing his best golf over the past year, to put it lightly. He's been playing some downright bad golf at times. But when you look at his stats, it's not because he's getting a ton of bogeys. It's really just that he's not birding. He's near the bottom of the PGA Tour right now in birdie average, but in bogey average, or bogey avoidance, I should say, tied with Chesson Hadley in for 25th right now on tour in bogey avoidance. He also putts his best when on Bermuda greens. He's 11th in the field in putting on Bermuda greens. And he's also had solid results at this event as well. He has 4 finishes of T16 or better, including a T4 here in 2017. So, and this also just kind of goes by the same narrative that I followed when I picked Bobby Mack last week for closest to the win, where it's a guy who clearly in a relatively weaker field is more skilled and talented than the majority of the golfers. This is a proven PGA Tour winner, multiple wins on the PGA Tour, has won some big events, and now he's playing in a pretty weak field, but you can still get him at 100-1 to win or top 10 plus 650. And like I said, past success at this course. He still, even though he's not scoring a ton of birdies lately, he's avoiding bogeys. So I think he's a great fit here. So Billy Ho, top 10.
I like it because he wasn't the name definitely that I thought you were going to say, but his play has been trending much better than it was last year. Like, you looked at his numbers in 2023, it was like, my God, how's this dude playing in a PGA Tour event right now? But he looks like a PGA Tour player again. So I like it, trying to get the trend early.
Did you think I was going to say Matt Kuchar?
It had crossed my mind because he's someone you've mentioned previously. So
I will admit I did look at Matt Kuchar. I couldn't do it.
Can't help yourself.
Usually the king of avoiding bogeys is Matt Kuchar, and I'm pretty sure I've bet on him in this event multiple times in the past, but this year he has been getting a ton of bogeys. So his age might have finally caught up to him. All right, moving on to top 5.
Top 5, familiar name. I think you've given him out as already on this show, but Eric Cole, 5-1 to finish in the top 5. He lost in a playoff here last year. I know I said course history isn't necessarily sticky, but when you look at what Eric Cole does well, it makes perfect sense why he would succeed at PGA National. He's not overly long off the tee, and the one shortcoming in his game, in my opinion, has been that he can get a little erratic with the driver. That hasn't necessarily been the case in 2024. He's been slightly above average in terms of driving accuracy, and his approach play has still been rock solid. We've also seen that when he gets hot with the putter, he's a great putter generally, but when he gets hot with the putter, and he gained a lot on the Florida swing last year, which a lot of these Florida swing tournaments are Bermuda grass, so I like that. And then going back to that proximity range, he's still above average when it comes to 150 to 200 yards out from fairway and the rough. I think that you just look at how he's been competing. He's been in the mix consistently throughout basically the past 6 months. He's just been in top 10s, top 5s. And I think with this field, yes, there are some big names like a Rory McIlroy and some guys in here, but I think Eric Cole has inserted himself in that conversation. So I like him for a top 5 just to repeat what he did last year. Yeah,
I like that. I certainly considered Eric Cole's. I like all your picks this week. I'm going to be honest.
Hey, thanks, man.
And if there's some I don't agree with, I say it. So I'm not just saying that. I like all your picks this week.
You may have scared me away from putting JT Poston in these picks because I know you're not the biggest JT Poston fan. So, I was just trying to appease you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. My top 5 is a guy who I think I mentioned last week. I didn't bet on him. And he had a bad start to the Mexico Open, but then he kind of recovered. He finished T19. Kashmir Keith, who now I'm self-conscious about saying the word Kashmir because I say it weird or said it weird once.
It was just the once. You said it normal every other time.
Okay. Kashmir Keith Mitchell, I'm going to go top 5 plus 700. Good form, T17 at the Phoenix Open, T19 in the Mexico Open. Another guy who's tied for 25th. There's a group of guys tied for 25th in bogey avoidance. He's another one of them. I think his style of play just fits this course well. Great form. Finished T9 at the Honda Classic in 2022. Won this event back in 2019, so a past winner of this event. So top 5 plus 700, so I think a pretty fair price for this field.
Yeah, I looked really hard at Keith Mitchell. I actually almost had him as my outright because I really like where his game's at and how it fits this course. And obviously he's had tremendous success here previously. So yeah, I looked at him as a potential outright. So I'm right there with you.
All right. I like it. All right. Moving on to our pick to win. Let's get our picks to win to at least make the cut this week.
We can only hope. I feel like I'm taking a little bit of a risk with mine, so I'm a little worried about that.
I'm taking a bigger risk than with mine, so don't worry.
Okay, good.
We're both taking some risks.
We'll both get those Thursday sweats in, get good and lathered on Thursday. I'm going with Sepp Straka though, plus 40-1, plus 4,000. His history here, again, I don't think course history is the stickiest thing, but when a guy wins and then finishes T5 in back-to-back years, it does kind of raise some alarms there that this might just be a place where he's really comfortable. Yep. And the numbers back that up. He's gained at least 3 strokes ball striking in the last 4 starts at the Honda Classic or PGA National. And his ball striking this year so far in 2024, it started off really poor, but he started trending in the right direction. He's improved his ball striking numbers with every round that he's played. More importantly, the putter has been killing him on the West Coast swing and in these early events so far. And he putts way better in Bermuda. When you look back at what he's done in the Florida swings the past few years, he's always he's been gaining strokes in Bermuda. He's gained strokes at this event putting in the past 2 starts. So I think that this is a place where he's really comfortable, where he understands what he has to do. He's an accurate driver, so he's going to be playing out of the fairway. And with his approach play trending in the right direction, I think this is a good spot. He obviously has good feels, and I'm trying to, beat the price a little bit. I got him yesterday. He opened at 45-1. The odds already dropping, so I feel like I'm probably not alone in liking Sepp this week.
All right. I like that quite a bit. Sorry, I don't know if you mentioned it, but also he's a guy who like that 150 to 200 range is kind of his specialty. I'm not confirming that with numbers based on this season, but just from years past, I know that he's kind of like a mid to long iron kind of guy.
Yeah, he is. He's 3 from the fairway from 150 to 200. He's 3 yards better than the tour average, or 3 feet better, excuse me. But yeah, he's very dialed from that range, which is probably why this place really suits him well.
Yeah, exactly. Love that pick as well. My guy is another guy who actually, based on the odds movement, people seem to like this guy as well. A little bit further down the odds list, though. We're sticking with some European golfers this week. I'm going to go with Alex Noren.
Oh my, blast from the past. Let's go.
At 70-1. I told you, I'm getting crazy this week. This is a guy, if you want to talk about not scoring birdies, but scoring avoiding bogeys, it's Alex Noren. 138th on the PGA Tour this season in birdie average, but 6th, including 1st in the entire field this week in bogey avoidance. He also ranks 12th in the field in putting on Bermuda greens. He finished T5 here last year, 3rd in 2018, so he has a good course history. And he hasn't played fantastic golf this season, but he has been fairly consistent, T26 or better, and 5 his last 8 starts. He did finish actually 2nd place at the Bermuda Championship. We're going back a little ways in November. And this is a guy who I don't know if a 70-1 is available out there anymore. I got him at 70-1 at FanDuel yesterday, and I think he's down to 60-1. And even some sports books, like I'm looking at BetMGM right now, and he's at 55-1. So his odds have come down a little bit. So some other people must be liking him as well. But it is a long shot. There's a reason why his odds are where they're at. But course history, course fit, I'm taking a shot. Alex Noren.
Hey, I like it, man. There are some guys on the PGA Tour that you have to pick your spots with. Like my favorite example of that is like a Ches Reavie. When Ches Reavie gets on a short course where his ridiculous lack of length off the tee isn't going to kill him, you can play him and he's going to get you a good finish and he's going to be at good odds because he doesn't play well when it's a long course. So this is a place where Alex Noren has obviously had some success. So I don't hate it at all. It's just, it's not the name that I thought you were going to say. I'll tell you that.
No, yeah. You probably didn't expect we were talking little Alex Noren, especially to win. Not even top 20 or top 10. We're going to win.
I love it.
All right. Let's finish off with closest to the win. So through 3 weeks, we have had 3 results. The first week, neither of us had a player here make the cut for close to the win. You won week 2 with Tom Hoagie.
Yeah.
I won last week, Bobby Mack. Who are you going this week for close to the win?
I'm going with Carson Young. And honestly, I was a little surprised that his odds were north of 100-1, if I'm being honest, when I look at what I'm seeing. He's gained ball striking in all 5 events he's played this season, and including 4 or 5 on approach. He's coming off his best finish of the year so far with a T8 in Mexico. He gained 4 strokes putting here last year, finished T29, and his ball striking has improved since then. I actually considered making him my top 20 play, but when I saw that his outright odds were north of 100-1, I was like, okay, that's an easy closest to the win play. But I love his form and I love where he's trending right now.
Yeah, I like it. It's I'm never going to argue with the close to the win because we're talking guys who are 100-1 or longer. I'm going to go with a fellow Canadian here who finished off hot there at the Mexico Open, Ben Silverman, 150-1. Another guy, I mean, I keep talking about it over and over. I've basically put all my eggs in the bogey avoidance basket this week is basically how I'm looking at it. So another guy, 14th on the tour heading into this week in bogey avoidance, coming off a great finish at the Mexico Open. What was it? Was it top 10 or top 20?
He was right there with Brandon Wu at T13, unfortunately.
T13. His approach game wasn't great last week, which is a little bit concerning, but he did putt really well. He's super accurate off the tee. He's not a long off the tee, but super accurate, which is obviously huge in avoiding bogeys and going to be huge this week. So yeah, 150-1 coming off a T13 finish. I'll take my fellow Canadian, Ben Silverman.
I like it. The way he played last week was very impressive. And like he was in the mix. Like T13 doesn't fully do justice of how well he played last week. So yeah, I like that a lot.
From Thornhill, Ontario, which I think that's where Brooke Henderson's from too.
It's the golf capital of Canada,
no,
I guess.
It's from Smith Falls. I lied.
It's
all Ontario. It's all the same thing. So there you have it. I do want to wrap up with one final question because there is a name that we haven't mentioned on this show, Cody, and it's obviously one that we should bring up, and that's Rory McIlroy because he's by far the best golfer in the field. He is plus 750 favorite, with the next closest being 22-1, being Cameron Young. So he's by far the best golfer. How are you handling betting on Rory McIlroy, or will you just completely avoid him, or will you fade him? What's the strategy for Rory this week?
Yeah, I'm handling it by not betting on him at all. And I'm not one to shy away from betting on Rory McIlroy from our previous, episodes of this show. But what he's shown so far this year has been a little bit worrisome. He's had you talk about bogey avoidance, and the one thing that's killed him, it killed him at the Genesis, it killed him at Pebble Beach, was bogey. The big number. He's had those big numbers that come into play, and this is a place where big numbers are in play on 15 of the 18 holes that you're going to be playing throughout a round. So that worries me quite a bit. I know that if he is on, he won this event in 2012, and he's had some decent finishes here and there, but also some bad finishes, some missed cuts here as well. And I think that's kind of who Rory McIlroy is. Like when he's dialed, he could run away with this thing. He could win this event by 5 strokes. Yeah. But if he's a little erratic off the tee, that worries me way too much to pay the premium price that he's priced at right now.
I think one of two results are going to happen. Either he's going to finish top 5 and may even win, or he misses the cut outright. Can you look up Rory miscut odds for me? Because I've realized in New York that you just can't bet on, I don't know if this is a new thing, but you can't bet on golfers in New York to miss the cut. You can bet on them to make the cut. But there's no miscut odds. So I'm curious, since you are outside of New York, if you can look that up for me, because I might go even offshore if I have to bet it. I'm thinking about betting on Rory to miss the cut. Because you mentioned it, he did win here in 2012. He finished T2 in 2014, but missed the cut here in both 2015 and 2016, and then T59 in 2018. So,
he is plus 450 to miss the cut on DraftKings.
I was hoping for 5-1. I might take a look at my offshore books. If I can get 5-1, I might take a shot on that. Or what I'm going to do is target some 3-ball bets for round 1 and round 2, and I might bet on someone else in his threesome. I don't know who he's playing with. I assume some. It's
a fun group actually. It's him, Jake Knapp, last week's winner. So you're just going to see tee shots get melted between those two, and then Chris Kirk going to be 30 yards behind them.
I'll take Chris Kirk in that 3-ball group.
Absolutely.
I'm telling you right now, I'll bet that Thursday. I'll bet Chris Kirk 100%.
Yeah, that's absolutely the right bet in there.
Yeah, I'm excited for that because we can probably get pretty good odds on that. So that's how I'm going to bet Rory McIlroy. But what's that?
I was going to say I'll check the odds real quick if you want me to.
If there's, I don't know if 3-ball bets odds will be up yet, but.
Chris Kirk plus 225.
Perfect. Done. Yeah, so that's how I'm going to bet handle Rory McIlroy. Now I say this, I fully accept he might go and win this by 5 strokes.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
But
it's entirely possible. But the thing with Rory right now is I like to bet on Rory when it feels like he's either going to top 5 or win. And I like to bet him outright in those scenarios.
Yeah.
When he's in this form where it seems like there's a lot of volatility to his game, that's when I try to stay away from it. And like you said, kind of target those round by round bets just to see where he's at round to round.
Yeah, and this is not a course that you want to be volatile at because
No,
those you'll get some squares on your scorecard pretty quick.
Pretty quickly. I had Shane Lowry outright when he was on the 18th, and it started raining, and he freaked out a couple years ago.
I know we don't talk first round leader on this show. Maybe we should start, but I like Shane Lowry first round leader. By the way,
I like it too. Great course history here. Great
course history, and he's second on the tour this year in round 1 scoring average. Good enough for me. I'll take him first round leader.
I love it.
All right. Any final thoughts?
Yuka Sasso at the LPGA event this weekend.
Is that the name he came with?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. She's one of my outright picks. So I was going to give my long shot winner, but let's group ride Yuka Sasso.
Yeah. Group riding it. This is an event where, long hitters are going to be, and like I was just saying about, like guys like Ches Reavie, it's the opposite end of the spectrum. Yep. She's not a great fit everywhere, but at a course like this where length off the tee and length with your irons and hybrids and whatnot are going to be important, she's a great fit for that.
Perfect. We agree. I put you on a hot seat last week unfairly about LPGA, and you came prepared this week. I like it as well. Long hitter, solid finish last week. I bet on her last week as well. That was one of the other names I didn't mention last week. She finished T16, solid finish, but she's a driver and a putter. So if she can dial in those iron shots just a little bit, I got her at 41-1, which I think were great odds.
That's what I saw it at before the show. So I think she's still there.
I also have a 22-1 pick and a 100-1 pick on LPGA this week. So if you want to check those out, go to fansided.com/betsided or just go to my Twitter at Iain MacBets. I tweeted out the article this morning.
There we go.
All right. I have a dentist appointment in 30 minutes, so I got to go get my teeth cleaned. So I'm excited for that.
Oh my God. Smile's going to be so bright next week.
Yeah. Over under 1.5 cavities.
We're going under, baby. We're going under.
All right. I like it. All right. Thank you all so much for watching. Subscribe to the BetSided YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter /X at Iain MacBets and at the Sizzle20. Best of luck with your bets this week. Gamble or bless. And we'll be back next week for the Puerto Rico. Are we going to Puerto Rico?
I thought next week was API.
Yes, it is. You're right. Puerto Rico and API are the same weekend.
Yeah.
So we will not be. Well, I think we talked about this, just jokingly, just making our show only Puerto Rico open and not talking API. Puerto Rico is the alternate field event because API is invitational. That's what the I stands for in API. So we'll be talking Arnold Palmer Invitational. Maybe we'll give out a Puerto Rico Open outright pick as well, just for funsies. We will be back next week, Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern. Thank you all so much. Good luck and enjoy this weekend's Cognizant Classic, aka the Honda Classic. All right. Love it.